Tesla fans rejoice. The Tesla Model Y Performance has finally arrived in Australia. If you're not a Tesla fan, what is this car? Well, it's a fully electric medium SUV from the all-American car brand. They call it an SUV. I don't think it's an SUV, to be honest. I think it looks like a hatchback that's been stung by a bee. It's a bit swollen, a bit weird looking, but we're not here to talk about its styling. We're here to talk about its performance. As the high-end model, it makes do with 2 motors at either end, 393 kilowatts, 690 newton meters, and a 0 to 100 time of under 4 seconds. This car is an absolute beast. So, does that make the Tesla Model Y Performance the best product it sells in Australia right now? Let's go and find out. The Tesla Model Y Performance starts from $95,415 before on-roads and costs. Our test car was fitted with optional prestige paint, which adds around $3,100 to its final price. That makes our shiny red test car worth $110,000 drive away in New South Wales, and that's without any form of tax or government concession. Before we jump inside, we'll quickly discuss some of the extra benefits you get for buying a Model Y Performance over the regular entry model. We'll start with these wheels, 21 inches in diameter. Tesla calls them Uber Turbine. I think they're quite cool and funky. Behind there, you'll find a set of performance brakes. Naturally, this car's got more power than a regular Model Y, so it's got better brakes to suit. Interestingly though, when the brand launched this car globally, it has 2 suspension tunes, a really firm one for its own market and a really soft and supple one for European markets. Thankfully, we've got that latter, more supple and soft suspension tune here in Australian cars, so I'm excited to see what that's like when we take it for a bit of a drive soon. And lastly, let's talk about charging. We have a 79 kilowatt hour battery in this car. That means to charge it from 0 to 80% on a 3-phase wall box at home takes around 6 hours. To charge it on a 7.7 kilowatt single-phase wall box at home takes around 8 hours. If you want to charge it fully tilt at 210 kilowatts, it'll take about half an hour, give or take. Every time I get behind the wheel of a Tesla product, I'm always in awe of the interior. It's a really, really nice cabin in here. It's really minimal, it's really pared back, and there's some really clever things too that I love. There's no air vents. Moreover, there's one massive air vent that's across the dashboard that slowly diffuses air and doesn't blow you in the face. How good is that? The windows are tall, so you've got great visibility out, and it just feels high-end in here. You don't need to have all these trinkets and ambient lighting and all these millions of buttons to make a car feel high-end. You just need to build it properly and build it with some nice materials like they've done here. Speaking of buttons, there are none in this car. Look, I wouldn't mind some for the air conditioning, but the system itself is quite intuitive. This large infotainment screen has enough real estate to put everything on there at once and makes it easy to tap, so nothing's buried in menus, if that makes sense. Another thing I don't mind too is the speedometer. Look, it's sort of okay. I'm getting used to it now. I used to absolutely hate it. Now I sort of am okay with it, but it could be better. It's just sort of off-site, really. When you really want a speedometer in front of your eyes when you're driving, not down here on the screen. Look, the font looks like it's got a little bit bigger. Maybe it has, maybe it hasn't. But look, it's a contentious issue and probably the only small improvement they can make here. This infotainment system is very complex. It's very smart, it's very powerful, has heaps of applications, an internet browser. You can watch YouTube when you're charging your car, or you can even play games using the vehicle's controls. How's that for a bit of a laugh? In terms of everything else, well, what do we got? Well, we've got a wireless charger up front, a massive storage pit here for your wallet, sunnies, phone, all that nonsense, another huge armrest console, a pair of cup holders, and some electric door handles as well. Overall, this cabin is first class and easily one of the nicest in the electric car game. Over in the second row, there is plenty of space back here for adults and kids alike. I'm about 6 feet tall. This is my driving position. And look, I've got heaps of room to put my feet out in front. My knees are well clear of the seat back. The seat itself, the seat back, is well proportioned for my shoulders and upper torso. And my head has heaps of room and is well clear of this massive, epic and awesome glass roof. Looking at this middle seat too, you can sort of see how wide the cabin is. Look at how big this armrest is. The car is quite wide, meaning 3 adults will fit here quite nicely. The flat floor makes for good ingress and egress, meaning you can sort of shuffle along the middle seat nice and easily. Overall, it's a really great place to be. You've got relatively good visibility, and it's extremely comfortable too in these nice squishy seats. We've got some rear air vents here, a pair of USB ports, and some storage for some documents, but other than that, it's pretty simple back here. That's all it needs to be. Boot space in a Tesla Model Y Performance is massive at 971 litres in total. The boot storage is not all on top of the boot floor either, as the space is divided in half with a massive storage tub underneath, meaning you can segregate your shopping. Although it's massively spacious and with cool side pockets as well to store some things, it does lack any form of tyre repair kit or space-saving spare wheel. There's nothing here in terms of emergency situations, so if you get a flat tyre, you've got to call a tow truck. The interesting thing about the Tesla Model Y Performance is that the brand started with an initial suspension tune, but created a softer, more supple one for when the brand launched the product in Europe. As for our Australian cars, well, we've got that soft European supple suspension tune here, and honestly, I think the car is better for it. Yes, it's a bit firm still. Yes, it's bumpy, maybe a little bit, but it's also a performance car, meaning it's tolerable. The bumpiness and the stiffness in this car doesn't get in the way of the driving experience. It lets you know that it's got some ability, but it doesn't interfere, which is nice. However, when you do put this car on a good road, maybe out in a regional town where the roads are bendy, flowing and fast, this car absolutely comes alive. The suspension has great control, it handles really well despite being tall, and honestly it's actually quite a good performance car if you're looking for something that's a bit of a Swiss Army knife, something that you can use with your kids in the week and something you can drive by yourself and have fun with on the weekend. One thing I will say though is that it does feel heavy and a bit big. It seems that regardless of how clever engineers get, they can never out-engineer mass. So if you like lightweight cars, it's probably not for you, but as the everyday performance car, it's spot on for the money. How's that powertrain? Well, let me just quickly show you. I'll just put my foot down and you can instantly see how fast this car is and how much it makes me smile. It has nearly 400 kilowatts, so I don't have to do that again to tell you how fast this car is. It's probably way faster than you need. So look, if you like a bit of excess or you want just a full fat car and you want to do this to your mates and scare the living hell out of them, well, you can do that just fine in this car. Look, the powertrain is much of a debatable thing, but look, I like performance cars myself. I like fast cars as well. So if I'm in the market for one of these, I'd probably like to have this one, to be really honest with you. What else is it like? Well, to be honest, it's really palatable to drive. You get used to the infotainment system managing everything. You get used to using voice commands. The electric door handles work okay. Look, it actually becomes quite regular after you spend a bit of time with it. Although getting in the car can be a bit daunting and trying to get used to everything compared to a regular car with buttons and all that sort of stuff. But look, you get used to it really quickly and it becomes second nature to drive a car like this and almost intuitive too. So don't be turned off by having to change the way you use or drive a car to get used to driving a Tesla. So how have we gone with efficiency? Well, let me quickly dive into the infotainment system and tell you. Look, we're getting about 20 kilowatts per hour, which is about 380 to 400 Ks of range. We've been driving this car mainly on the freeway, a bit around town, but I honestly reckon if you do drive it more around town, use the regeneration and use it more like a regular car over maybe a week period, you will probably see a fuel efficiency figure around what the claim is, 17.9, to give you that give or take 500 Ks of range. All I can say at the moment is that it's more thirsty than the claim, but as I just said, we haven't had the car long enough to tell you, so take that as an anecdote. We've been enjoying the performance too, so if you do like driving it fast, you're probably going to get a bit less range than the odd 520 Ks that's officially claimed by Tesla. Look, for 110 grand, it's really hard to fault this car. I know that's a lot of money, but you get so much performance too. And on top of that, you get stacks of versatility. You get a car that fits 5, you get a car that's pretty safe, you can put your kids in, you get a car that's got 400 odd kilowatts and gets to 100 Ks in under 4 seconds. For that sort of money, sure you don't get some noise, sure it looks a bit ugly, but it's one hell of a car for the money. So, has the Tesla Model Y Performance been worth the wait? I reckon yes, this car is fantastic to drive. It rides really well. That European suspension tune is just subtle enough for our conditions, but gives the car a real sporting sense. It now does over 500 Ks on a full charge, and you'll probably get close to that, given the efficiency we've seen here today. Look, do you need a 400 kilowatt family car? I'm going to say no, you don't. But do I want a 400 kilowatt family car? Absolutely I do. This car is excessive, but it's incredible too. If you've got a $110,000 budget or you're looking for a high-end electric car, please go out and drive this. I can guarantee you won't walk out of the showroom without having put a deposit down. The Model Y Performance is a really fantastic car, and I personally love it a lot. I hope you learned a lot about the Tesla Model Y Performance today, so make sure you like and subscribe to our YouTube channel to be kept up to date with the latest greatest car reviews in Australia. And also visit drive.com.au to read our full written reviews on these cars as well. Thanks for watching.